Have you ever wondered what happens when a song refuses to disappear? Not for a few weeks, not for a few months, but for more than an entire year. What if a single voice could travel across oceans, cross languages, and continue touching hearts in places thousands of miles away from home? And what if, at the very same moment that one member was breaking records on his own, the group he belongs to was rewriting history on the world's biggest music charts? Because right now, that's exactly what's happening with BTS. And the numbers behind this story are almost unbelievable. While millions of fans around the world are celebrating BTS's newest achievements, one remarkable success story has quietly continued to grow stronger every single week. Jin's Don't Say You Love Me has once again climbed to the very top of Mexico's house radio ranking house chart. At first glance, reaching number 1 is impressive. But when you look deeper, the true story becomes something much bigger. This latest achievement marks the song's 21st week at number 1, 21 separate weeks. Think about that for a moment. In today's music industry, where songs rise and fall at incredible speed, staying relevant for a few weeks is already difficult. Yet Jin's emotional ballad continues to captivate listeners month after month. Even more astonishing? The song has now remained inside the top 10 for 55 consecutive weeks. 55 weeks. More than a year of consistent popularity. More than a year of listeners pressing play. More than a year of people returning to the same song because it still means something to them. And perhaps that's the secret behind its success. Some songs become hits because they're trendy. Others become unforgettable because they connect with people emotionally. Don't Say You Love Me seems to belong to the second category. Every week that passes feels like another reminder that genuine emotion doesn't have an expiration date. The impact has become so significant that House Radio once again recognized Jin among its K-pop artist selections, marking the second consecutive year he has earned that distinction. The song itself was also chosen in the K-pop song category, proving that its influence continues to resonate long after its release. And the success doesn't stop there. On Spotify, Don't Say You Love Me has accumulated more than 952 million streams. Think about what that number represents. Millions upon millions of people from different countries, cultures, and languages all sharing the same musical experience. Meanwhile, the official music video continues its own impressive journey, surpassing 49 million views on YouTube. Every click tells a story. Every stream represents someone who found comfort, excitement, nostalgia, or inspiration through Jin's music. But while his solo achievements continue making headlines, something equally extraordinary is happening on an even larger scale. Because BTS as a group is currently experiencing one of the strongest eras of their career. Their title track, Swim, from the album Arirang, has now spent 12 consecutive weeks on Billboard's Hot 100 chart in the United States. 12 weeks. For many artists, entering the Hot 100 even once would be a career-defining moment. For BTS, maintaining their position for nearly 3 months has become another chapter in their ongoing global story. The song currently sits at number 43 on the chart. And while chart positions naturally rise and fall, the consistency behind Swim is what makes this achievement so remarkable. Even beyond the United States, the song's global impact has been impossible to ignore. On Billboard's global excluding US chart, Swim has spent 12 weeks battling between first and second place. Week after week, country after country, listener after listener, the song keeps proving its staying power. In fact, it recently secured its 8th overall week at number 1, setting a new record among songs released in 2026. And perhaps the most fascinating detail of all, that accomplishment ties the legendary record established by BTS's own Dynamite. Think about the significance of that moment. BTS is no longer competing against other artists. They're competing against their own history, against records they themselves created, against standards that once seemed impossible to reach. And they're doing it again. The album, Arirang, has become a phenomenon in its own right. Every single one of its 13 tracks has charted for 12 consecutive weeks. Not 1, not 2, all 13. That level of consistency speaks to something larger than a successful title track. It speaks to an album that listeners are experiencing from beginning to end, an album that has become part of people's daily lives. The project continues performing strongly across multiple Billboard charts, demonstrating that fans aren't simply streaming individual songs, they're supporting the entire musical journey. And then came another surprise. On June 12th, BTS released a new song called Come Over. Almost immediately, listeners responded. The track captured first place in Billboard's weekly new song popularity poll with an overwhelming 86% of the vote. 86%. That's not just a victory, that's a statement. The song also made an impressive entrance onto Spotify's Daily Top Songs global chart, proving that the excitement surrounding BTS remains stronger than ever. But perhaps the biggest moment is still ahead, because on July 19th, BTS will headline the halftime show of the 2026 FIFA World Cup final. Just think about the scale of that stage. The FIFA World Cup is one of the most watched events on the planet. Hundreds of millions of people, countless countries, one global audience, and BTS will be at the center of it. Fans have already shown their excitement in extraordinary fashion. In a Billboard poll asking who people were most excited to see perform at the World Cup, BTS received more than 8 million votes and captured over half of all votes cast, more than 50%. An overwhelming show of support from people eager to witness history. And perhaps that's what connects all of these achievements together. Whether it's Jin dominating radio charts in Mexico for 55 straight weeks, whether it's Swim continuing its historic Billboard run, whether it's a brand new song winning fans over almost instantly, or whether it's the anticipation surrounding a World Cup halftime performance. The story remains the same. BTS continues to prove that their influence isn't built on temporary trends, it's built on connection, on loyalty, on music that continues finding new listeners while keeping longtime fans emotionally invested. And while records can eventually be broken, chart positions can eventually change, and milestones can eventually be surpassed, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. The bond between BTS and the people who support them remains stronger than ever. As Jin continues meeting fans through the Arirang World Tour and prepares for upcoming concerts in Madrid, another question begins to emerge. If this is what BTS can achieve right now, what happens next? What new records are waiting to be broken? What new stages are waiting to be conquered? And how much bigger can this story become? If history has taught us anything, it's that betting against BTS is rarely a good idea. Because every time the world thinks they've reached their peak, they somehow find a way to climb even higher,